Kev of YouTube. I'm just checking to see if we've gone live on YouTube. And today's video has decided to just autoplay and make loads of noise, for goodness sake. Come on now, Kev. Learn to do this properly. Why haven't we gone live on YouTube? Or have we? We have. Excellent. So let's just make sure that is up and running. It is. So we're live on YouTube, which means we should definitely be live on YouNow. We are live on YouNow. Excellent stuff. So yeah, same plan as usual, just happening slightly later in the evening. Because we're doing this later in the evening than we normally do, I have water rather than coffee. Got to be able to sleep. Even I can't drink coffee at 9 o'clock in the evening and expect to go to sleep at a reasonable hour. So I have a bottle of water. I'm probably not going to drink it all during the course of this. I might do. We might have to do normal rules. Kev has to drink half a litre of water. It's not going to do me any harm. Quick bit of housekeeping as usual before we start. If you are watching this on YouTube, just remember that with these streams, when they're streamed through YouNow, I can only see the chat on YouNow. So if you are watching this on YouTube, you're watching it on a slight delay. It's actually being streamed onto YouNow. It's just being dual broadcast onto YouTube. So the only chat I can see is the YouNow chat. So if you want to get involved in the chat, so I can see what you're saying, answer any questions you've got, you need to come over to YouNow. The link to YouNow is down in the description if you're watching over on YouTube, or you can just come to younow.com/Lelujo and you'll be able to find me that way, or download the YouNow app, search for Lelujo, search for Kevin Chapman. Any of these things should bring you along to the channel. But yeah, I can't see the chat on YouTube. Obviously, if you are coming from YouTube to YouNow, feel free to leave a thumbs up on the way out. It certainly doesn't hurt. But the bulk of the conversation is going to be taking place over here on YouNow. And we are going to be doing usual rules-ish. Normally, I drink a cup of coffee, and you've got the time it takes me to drink a cup of coffee to ask me as many questions as you'd like on any topic that you would like. Today I have a bottle of water. So rather than saying I have to drink all of this, because I might end up needing a wee, we're going to stream for like half an hour. I'm tired. It's been a really long day. I've recorded 2 separate vlogs today because of how we split it up with the back to school stuff, plus all the stress around back to school. If you've seen the back to school video that we did, you'll know that things, although I don't want to spoil the video, but it wasn't all plain sailing. Everything didn't go as we expected it. So I'm just tired. So we'll chat for like half an hour. You are really here with the responsibility of keeping me awake until Anna gets home from work. She finishes work at 10 o'clock. So I need to be awake when she walks through the door, or I'll be in so much trouble. So how are we all anyway? Are we all good? I'm cracking open the water. So have a little drink of this, and then we'll get started on some of the questions over here on YouNow. So final reminder for now, if you are watching on YouTube, I can't see the chat on YouTube. If you want to get involved in the chat, you need to come over here to YouNow. The link for that is down in the description. Or it's younow.com/Lelujo. And we're going to be doing a Q&A over here. It's not a specific topic one, like the one we did. Hold on. There we go. It's not a specific topic one like the one we did on YouTube last night. It's a normal free-for-all. So any topic you feel like asking a question about, let's go. Have I watched Friday Night Dinner? No. Does Andy do every normal lessons? No. He doesn't go to a mainstream school, so they don't have normal lessons. We did a video about how his school works. In fact, was it a video? Yeah, we did a video about school at the weekend, didn't we? Check out Saturday's video. That tells you all about how Andy's school works. Why do I get bottled water? Because why not? Why does anyone get anything? I like water. What did I think of the photo from last night? It was lovely. I'm a handsome man. How was Andy's first day? I don't want to spoil tomorrow's vlog. It was fine. He went. He came home. There were challenges along the way. There hasn't. Someone else has said, was there any meltdowns? No, there's been no meltdown. Andy has been absolutely fine. He was described as having a brilliant day at school. The challenges have been with all the stuff that's kind of been going on around him. He's just taken everything in his stride. But it's been lots of stuff that I would expect to go wrong, and it didn't. So I've got myself stressed out with the expectation that something was about to happen, even though it ended up not happening. Because there were multiple things that didn't go to plan. Why do I not drink tap water? Because it's horrible. It just doesn't taste very nice. And it's warm. I like cold water out of a bottle. Are you ignoring me or do you not see my comment? Well, I can't answer every... Look how fast the chat is moving. I can't answer every question. So I saw you asking if I haven't seen anything you've typed previously, but I saw you asking if I was ignoring you. So that shows I'm not ignoring you, but I still haven't answered your question. I eat pot noodles when I watch your videos. Awesome. What flavour? I used to eat loads of pot noodles when I was at school. Is Andy any better with his camera? No. And he's got this strange new thing with it, that he keeps passing it to me, saying through Andy's eyes. So he's asking me to make a video, but he hasn't recorded anything. Everything that he's recorded has now appeared on his channel, but it's like he's expecting there to be something more. So whether there's something that he thinks he's recorded that didn't record, and that could be what's caused the whole problem, or I don't know. Last night he asked me to film him playing a game with my camera through Andy's eyes. No, Andy, I'm not filming for your channel. You film your own stuff. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with the camera. We're not worried about it. We'll just let him do what he wants to do. He can make videos when he wants to make videos. It's his channel. He can do what he likes with it. Is the minibus Andy got today the taxi company of the school? I don't know what you mean. Would I ever take Andy away on a plane? Yes, we've made multiple videos talking about that. He wants you to film like him on his camera. Yeah, maybe he does. I'm not going to. He can film his own stuff on his own camera. Okay, if you don't drink tap water, how horrible you are. I know, I'm a monster tyke. I really am. It's just not very nice. It's all... I mean, around here, my kettle gets all lime scaled up and horrible. You get a new kettle and it's disgusting after like 6 weeks. There's so much lime scale build up on the taps, on the coffee machine. It is disgusting. I have to descale my coffee machine like every 6 weeks or so. And to me, drinking that dirty tap water, and I don't have to descale my insides. Ugh. Has Andy shown any interest in making gaming content? He has, but he wants to film it on his camera. So I'm going to try and figure out a way to explain how to use an Elgato, or set him up with an Elgato maybe. We'll figure something out, but small steps. Why do I have lime scale in London? It's fine, because I'm not in London, Tyke. Water's different all over the country, isn't it? In London the water's really soft. It's kind of like not drinking water. So I don't like it in London either. It's the same when you go over towards Nottingham, it gets really soft. Whereas here it's really hard. So we're hard water people who have to use double the amount of detergent and stuff. You look on the back of a detergent bottle, it asks you how hard your water is. Our water's hard and it's horrible, so we drink bottled water. East of England is massive. It's pretty big. How tall is Andy? I would say Andy is probably about 5'2", because he's slightly taller than Anna. In your bio, why does it say YouTube with 100k subs when you have 62? Lol, you won't read this. Fire, fire, fire. Well, lol, I did read it. It doesn't say 100k subs, it says 100k plus subs, because I do have 100k plus subs. Remember, I have 2 channels. My total is probably about 101,000 subs now. So, I have a YouTuber with over 100,000 subs, they're just not all on the same channel. And it's like it's more than 62 on my vlog channel as well. Goodness me. Water in Lincolnshire is gross. There, lots of people confirming our water is horrible around here. Does Andy have sensitive hearing? Yeah, kinda. Like if there's loads of drilling and stuff going on, roadworks, things like that, loud noises, he doesn't like at all. Have you got any tips, Kev, losing weight? Because I'm a bit chubby and I get bullied because of it. I mean, do I look like I know how to lose weight? If I had any tips to lose weight, I wouldn't be a fat man. I mean, that's not strictly true. I'm too lazy to do what you have to do, because it really is simple losing weight. You just have to burn more calories than you consume. So the easiest way to lose weight is to track what you're eating. Use something like MyFitnessPal. Track what you're taking in every day, and get something like a Fitbit to track how many calories you're burning over the course of the day, and make sure that the amount you burn is always more than the amount you take in. I know full well for most of my life I've taken in more than I've burnt. I know how to fix it. I just really like food, and I don't really like moving around very much. So I know the secret formula, I just haven't done it. Where did we get to? Do I support Autistic Lives Matter? I don't know what that is, so I guess I don't formally. I might well agree with what they've got to say, but I don't know what it is or who they are. Does Andy... Oh, that one just scrolled before I could finish reading it. Yeah, I don't obsessively count calories. Yeah, I'll agree with that as well. I don't buy into the whole weighing your Frosties to the nearest gram. Get a rough idea of what a portion size is and track it as a portion. But yeah, don't get too excited about it. Really, you should try and... The best way to do it is to track what you actually eat. So maybe for a week or so, just use MyFitnessPal or something like that. It's a free app that you can get on iOS or Android. Just use that to record what you're actually eating. Don't try and adjust what you're eating. Just record what you're eating, and then maybe just try and knock that down by 500 calories a day, and go for a half-hour walk a day. It's simple stuff like that. I mean, it really is simple. It's just easier said than done. Do I have to go to Senko meetings with Andy? Yes. Is the minibus Andy got today the taxi company or the school who run it? The taxi company own and operate the minibus, but it's in conjunction. They do what the school tell them to do, and the school tell them what to do based on what the council and the transport people... There's a whole load of people involved. It wouldn't in either the school or the taxi company on their own have decided to send a minibus rather than a taxi. No one person, no one part of the chain can make that decision. So what will have happened is the transport people at the council will have decided that he's been going to the school for a year now. He no longer needs his special dispensation that gets him individualised travel. So they're putting him back on the group transport. They would have told the school and the taxi company, and neither of them have told us. Which, I mean, it's just great. Would have been nice for someone to tell us. There's not a lot we can do about it happening. The only way now he'll get back to individualised transport is if going on the group transport causes problems. But he's gone today without any problem, so it's not currently causing problems. If he has a day or two of refusing school, then he'll go back to individual taxi again. Do I have any tips on socialising? Because I struggle socialising in real life. I mean, I'm not really one for socialising. I tend not to go out very much. I don't really have very many friends. I'm probably not the person to ask. I'm a very, very introverted person, I guess, who likes to perform and show off when there's a camera pointing at him. But I'm not really any. I mean, I imagine there's probably some of you there who've met me in real life. I'm not a conversationalist. I won't. You know, if I go out for dinner, I won't sit there making conversation and chatting with you all the time. It's just, I don't have that in me. It's not how I work. So, no, I don't really. What happened to my wrestling? What about it? Wrestling channel? It's gone. What's my favourite type of sauce? HP sauce. Why am I getting the same questions over and over again? I think I'm just scrolling wrong. Are we trying to get Andy a personal transport again? Not at the moment. Because he's shown today he doesn't need it. We'll see how he gets on. What was Anna's thoughts on Andy getting the bus this morning? She was not happy at all, as you probably saw from the video, because I don't think I cut anything out of that section. Yeah, she wasn't at all pleased. It's just that they've made the jizz without telling us. How long am I going to be streaming for? We're probably about halfway through. It's not going to be a really long stream tonight. Maybe another 15 minutes. Maybe at a push another 20 minutes or so. What's the best way to overcome back to school stress? What, as a student or a parent? Because all stress just comes down to trying to keep things in context, I guess. Try not to stress out about things that you can't control. And I know it's easier said than done. But just, you know, remember why you're doing it, and always I always ask, whenever I'm getting anxious or stressed about something, I always ask myself two questions, which I got out of, I always talk about Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek. Fantastic book, genuinely changed my life when I read that book. But in there's something called fearscaping, which I've talked about loads of times before, but the particular parts of it that is important to just dealing with everyday anxiety and stress is anytime you find yourself in a situation that you don't like or you're not sure of, ask yourself 2 questions. What's the worst thing that could happen, and how long would it take me to recover from it? And genuinely go through the process of asking and answering those questions. So if you're stressed about going back to school as a student, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? And really try and think, what is the absolute worst thing that can happen as a result of you going back to school? And when you've decided what that worst thing is, how long will it take you to recover from? Is it something that's going to affect you for years and years and years and adversely affect your life? Or is it something you'll be over in 30 seconds? And just, yeah, that's what I do. Why aren't I in the garage? Because Anna's not here. So I can't go out to the garage when it's just me and Andy at home. Does Andy still have his assistant in the taxi? His assistant is still in the taxi, but she's the only adult other than the driver who's in there. So she's not Andy anymore. She's supervising all of the kids in a taxi full of 6 kids. And Andy's sat in the front where she's not. So really it's the driver who's supervising Andy now. Because if Andy decides to take off his shoes and throw them out the window, or grab the handbrake, or I don't know, vomit everywhere, then the driver's going to have to deal with that because the assistant's in the back with no way to get to him. It seems like a bit of an oversight to me, but there's no telling them. Obviously I'll try and tell them, but they won't pay any attention. Right, where did we get to? Does Andy have a crush on his teaching assistant? I think he probably does. How should I explain to my girlfriend that I'm autistic? I wouldn't necessarily explain it. I'd just tell her that you are and ask her if she's got any questions. So literally something on the lines of, I'm autistic. Do you have any questions about what that is? She might be an expert, or she might want to go away and read about it or watch videos about it, or she might have loads of questions about it. So yeah, rather than explaining it, which could come across as really patronising if she already knows, or she might not care. But yeah, just, I'm autistic. Do you have any questions about that? Something along that. Be really blunt with it. And then when she asks why you're being so blunt, use the autistic card. Don't see why you can't do that. Just had a notification come up saying there's loads of people watching on YouTube at the moment. So I will do my reminder again for anyone who is watching on YouTube. I can't see the chat on YouTube. So if you want to get involved in the Q&A, you need to come over to YouNow. The link to YouNow is in the description if you're watching on YouTube, or you can just come to younow.com/Lelujo. But if you come over to YouNow, I can see the questions that you're typing. I can't see anything you're typing in the chat over on YouTube. So you're just kind of shouting into the ether. Obviously chat amongst yourselves if you want to stay over there, if you don't want to come to YouNow. But if you want me to see your question and answer, come over to YouNow. Link is in the description, or it's younow.com/Lelujo. Did I finish the World Cup sticker book? No. I kind of lost interest in it when England got knocked out. Which is an awful attitude, really. But I probably need another 60 or so stickers. So I'm only 10 stickers away from being able to order the final 50. And I'm just not bothered. I don't care. I completely lost interest the moment England got knocked out. Is the individual taxi like a British thing? I don't believe that's available in America, and I live in a big city. It's not a common thing in the UK either. It's purely because it was the only way to get Andy to school. The school's 10 miles away, and he refused to get on the group transport. So that was what was arranged through the council as a way to get him to school. At the time, there was no way for us to get him to school, because when he first got awarded the individual transport, I was working full-time as a teacher, so I was out of the house when he needed to get to and from school. Anna doesn't drive and doesn't have a car. The school's 10 miles away. There's no direct bus from where we live. And he wouldn't get on the group transport. So the only way to get him to school was to send a taxi every day. So they awarded him an individual taxi. The photo I sent you should be a new profile picture. It really shouldn't. I'm a trainee pilot for Qantas. As a 19-year-old, do you have any tips for anxiety before exams? Again, the general anxiety tips that I just talked about. You just got to ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? How long will it take to recover from? I mean, the best way to avoid exam anxiety is to make sure you're really, really prepared for the exam. If you know your stuff, and you've put the work in, and you've studied, and you've revised, and you know that you know what you're talking about, then you shouldn't feel that much in the way of exam anxiety anyway, because you're confident you can get the exam. Then becomes an opportunity to show how much you know. You can go in there and not a test. It's an opportunity to shine, and it's just about reframing it in your mind. Anna said earlier that the kid who pinched Andy was on the taxi, but what's the story behind that, and has it stopped? Well, it stopped purely because he hasn't been on the bus for 2 years. But yeah, when he used to ride that bus to school every day for a few months before he started refusing to go to school, this kid just used to pinch him. Just pinch him on the arm. That's the story. There's not much else to it. It's one of the reasons why he started refusing to get on the taxi. Did I ever miss lectures at uni? If so, why? I didn't ever miss a moment of uni. So no. I even went in when I was ill. I didn't want to miss out. Let chat decide over the photo. No. Because I'm not going to use it. Do we pay extra for an individual taxi for Andy? No. Because it's all to do with the legislation around the government's responsibility to get kids into school. So because the nearest suitable school for Andy is more than 3 miles away, he's entitled to free transport to and from school anyway. That's not specific to our family. That's not a disability thing. That's for every kid in the UK. If the nearest school that is suitable for their needs is more than 3 miles away from where they live, they're entitled to free transport to that school. So if you live out in the sticks and your nearest secondary school is 5 miles away, you'll probably get a free bus pass. For kids who have special needs who go to schools like Andy's one, it usually involves a minibus going around picking them all up. But because that wasn't appropriate either, they just had to find a solution that was appropriate. So that's where the individual taxi came from. But the onus on getting him to school is on the government from that perspective, cost of getting him there, because that's the way the law is set up in this country. Do I want a cinema-sized poster of the new Venom movie? I don't know where I'd put a cinema-sized poster, so no, thank you. Yeah, I'd have nowhere to put it. What was I? I was just about to read a question and it scrolled and I lost it completely. A lot of children get taxis to the school I teach at. There you go. So I guess it varies from area to area, taxi to taxi. It was very rare when I was teaching. There were a few kids who didn't live on bus routes who would get taxis. But it weren't loads. This chat is scrolling so quickly. What were you thinking this morning as Andy was talking about the minibus? Well, he wasn't. He was saying bus, wasn't he? So I still don't know if he was just expressing a preference, saying he wanted to get a bus, or whether he knew he was getting the minibus and he was trying to tell us that's what he was doing. I don't know. At the time, I just assumed. It didn't cross my mind for a second that they would send the minibus. So when he kept saying bus, I just assumed he meant he would rather go on the bus because he likes buses, or he wanted to go on a bus the way he likes to go on trams. I guess there's a pretty good chance he was actually telling us, "I'm going in a bus." You know, they told me before we broke up in July. They mentioned I was going to be coming on a bus, and he was saying that in the most efficient way he could think of. I have some Marvel t-shirts that I get for free for work, which no one else can get. I was wondering if you'd like me to send you some. Sophie, I would love some if they come in enormous sizes. Remember, I am an enormous man. I take very large t-shirts. So if you've got enormous sizes, I'll happily take some off your hands. How's Amy's new room coming along? I mean, it's no change from where it was at the end of the video the other day. We did say at the time it will just be left like that for a couple of weeks now, because they've got stuff going on with their mum, family things over at her house for the next couple of weeks. They're not going to be available at the weekends to come here for a few weeks. It's not something we can realistically do after school, so it will be left like that for a few weeks now, and then we'll come back to it in a couple of weeks when we'll paint it and stuff and sort the wallpaper out. I get the wallpaper down probably. Could you give us an upstairs tour? No. There's nothing up there. There's our bedrooms and the bathroom. You've seen most of it on various from time to time. You've seen Andy's bedroom on the back to school video from last year. You've seen mine and Anna's bedroom on the We Got a New Bed vlog. You've seen the girls' bedroom from the makeover one from the weekend. You've seen the landing on the video where Anna lost the diamond from her engagement ring. You've seen the airing cupboard from the video when the boiler broke. You've seen the bathroom from the video when the boiler broke. You'll be seeing the bathroom again on tomorrow's vlog because I filmed a bit of Andy cleaning his teeth before bed. So you've seen all of the upstairs anyway. I find house tour videos really boring. That's sort of why I don't want to keep them, because they either send us really small ones or really large ones. Sophie, thank you. Is respite care paid for by the government? Yes. So Andy, it's not an automatic thing. It's something that our social worker had to apply for through his social. Basically, his social worker assessed our needs as a family and awarded him said he should have some respite care because we were at the end of our tether. You saw from videos, he's only been going to respite for a year and a half. So when we first started the vlog, he hadn't started respite care yet. So, and you can see from some of those early vlogs, we were really at the end of our tether, and Andy was just trapped in here all the time. So it was decided everyone involved would benefit from him having some time away from us once a month. So the social worker took the case to the awarding panel, the awarding body, who decide how to spend that pot of money that's been set aside for stuff like that. And he was awarded 2 days a month, every month. We were also awarded something called direct payments. He's supposed to have another 9 hours of PA time each month, but we advertised for over 6 months to try and find a PA for him to just come and spend some time with him, take him out down the shops, take him out to the park, just do some stuff with him. So we cancelled that. So that side of things. So he's actually entitled to more than he gets, but we couldn't find anyone to do the other part of it. So the way direct payments works is the government give us the money, which we then have to give to the person who we employ. So we end up as the employer, and it's funded by the government. But just because we didn't employ him, doesn't mean we get to keep the money. We had to give the money back. So the money is only there to pay the person. Is it? Did you ever teach anyone with Tourette's? Yes. If so, would you ever tell them to shut up or stop that? I've been told that before. Not if I knew they had Tourette's, which in theory you know as a teacher, but in all honesty, there are some times when you either forget or you don't know in the first place because they're new to your class, or their SEN file hasn't been updated properly, or it was, there's various reasons why the teacher might not know. So I would probably, if it's something that your teachers are doing on a regular basis, I would probably raise it either through home or through a tutor, or even directly with the teacher yourself if you feel comfortable doing it. Just a bit of you are aware I've got Tourette's, right? And again, similar to what I was saying about telling about autism, ask them if they've got any questions about, I've got Tourette's, right? Do you understand what that is? And that might be something that's better coming through parents or better coming through the school, because I know a lot of teachers could potentially be put out by a kid talking to them that way. But it might just be that either they don't know what Tourette's is, they don't understand how it works, they've probably never been trained on how to deal with Tourette's, because special needs teaching and special needs training for teachers is appalling. They just don't get it, generally. Speaking from a teacher's perspective, you're given your class list, and if you're in a secondary school, you could potentially be teaching 400 or 500 students. Especially if it's a subject where you only get one lesson a week across multiple year groups, you could have literally hundreds of students, and you're expected to go and dig out the SEN file for all of them, and there'll be stuff in there that you don't necessarily know the name of, and the onus is then on the teacher to find that thing is, find out what to do about that particular thing. And sometimes there's no time to do it, which sounds awful, but it's the truth. Or sometimes you just don't really understand and you get it wrong. So yeah, it's a challenge. How did my first lesson? Was I nervous? Not really, but that's mainly because I went into it with years of experience of public speaking. So speaking to 30 kids is a lot easier than 200 businessmen, for example. So I was really nervous the first time I had to do a big speech in front of a load of people. But first time I taught a lesson, I was 30 when I qualified. No, 31 when I qualified as a teacher. 30? I was in my 30s when I qualified as a teacher. I was too old to be stuff at that point. Does Andy like colour changing putty? He's never expressed an opinion one way or the other, I don't think. Tips for having a successful save on Football Manager. Am I really the person to ask? I'm terrible at Football Manager. What football club do I support? Peterborough. Any advice on going back to school with ADHD? Similar to advice to going back to school if you've not got ADHD, really. Just, take it as it is. Ask yourself not to get too stressed out about it. If you feel like there's teachers or other students who don't understand the issues, make sure they understand, whether that's through raising it through home, raising it through... it's the same stuff. You can take any condition out and replace it with any other condition. The answer is the same. Make sure that everybody is fully aware of what your needs are. And from there, try not to get stressed out about it. What's the worst that could happen? How long would it take me to recover from? All that kind of thing, really. Have you ever got angry at someone with ADHD because of their disorder while you were teaching? No. I've never got while I was teaching. I don't think a good teacher never gets angry. Sometimes they raise their voice in a controlled manner, but I've never, in my whole time teaching, I was never angry at a student. Because, again, it might just be a mindset thing for me, but it comes back right round again to what's the worst that could happen? How long does it take to recover from? It's no skin off my nose if a kid's misbehaving. It doesn't ruin my day. Ruins their day. They're the ones who are going to be taken through whatever the punishment consequences system is. There's no reason for me to get angry about it. I've not got detention. They have. Was I one of those hated teachers by the students? No, I think I was probably one of the opposite. I think I was generally quite well liked. This is where a whole load of my former students are watching. No, we hated you. No, you didn't. You thought it was ace. I have watched All In. I finished watching it this afternoon. Andy's in bed at the moment. Is it just me or does it sound a little bit low on the stream? It probably is a little bit low. I'm not in my normal streaming place. I'm using a dodgy old blue snowball microphone, which is not my preferred piece of audio kit, and it's quite far away from me. So yeah, it probably is a little bit quiet. I'm just sat here on my laptop in my living room. How many girls at your school chose computing each year? It varied. Not as many as boys. But then the last A-level group I taught had more girls than boys. But there was a GCSE group the same year that didn't have a single girl choose it. So it just varied from year to year. Hiccups. Have the girls ever had detentions? Don't think so. Don't recall there being any. No, I'm not picking Anna up because Andy's in bed. Anna's getting a lift home with someone else from work. I left education, teaching in ASD school, due to the authority cuts and the impact it had on the kids. Did you feel the cuts affected your school and how? Yeah, they did. Just silly little things like lack of stuff. We would run out of paper and there'd be no paper for like 2 days, or we weren't allowed to print in colour all of a sudden, or there weren't any staples in the storeroom, or we ran out of pens, or we had to start getting the really cheap highlighter pens that don't really work, and just silly little things like that. There not being any budget there to actually do your job properly. We ended up, the school I was at most recently, the whole reprographics department were made redundant, and teachers were basically told, do your own printing and copying, which to a student or someone who's not in teaching, you might think, well, yeah, why can't you do your own printing and copying? Well, the main reason you can't, because if you're teaching 5 or 6 lessons a day, 5 days a week, and you've got to prep resources for those lessons, and again, if it's, especially for a subject like my subject, where you would only have students for 1 or 2 lessons a week, if you've got 4 or 5 lessons a day, 5 days a week, you're looking at 20, 22 lessons a week that you've got to prepare resources for every single one of those. When do you do that? When do you go and do your photocopying and your printing? You haven't got, there is no time to be able to do that. So it's silly. What would I do if the girls started smoking? Tell them not to. All the science teachers left my school apart from 2, so now we have loads of new ones. Yeah, that happens a lot, I think. In your experience, do employers care which uni you got your degree from? No, they don't care at all. In my experience, employers don't really care about your degree at all. They don't care what uni it was from, they don't care what subject it was in, they don't care what grade you got. All employers care about is that, I mean, again, I'm speaking as an employer, speaking as someone who has interviewed, has hired and fired people. I guess a lot of the filtering out happened before people got to me. So if someone just didn't meet the entry requirements, then they never would have made their CV or their application form doesn't make it as far as my desk. So I guess it's there is an element of having to hit certain criteria. But that being said, the criteria for a job that requires a degree is that you have a degree. It might at most be have a degree in a relevant subject. There is no job in the world where the criteria is have a degree bridge that you got a first in this particular subject. That's just not how it works. And once you get past that initial filtering stage and you're at interview, it's then purely based on how well you get on with the person who's going to give you the job. They don't care what you wrote on your application form. They don't care what your CV says. They don't care what your qualifications are. They care about how you perform at that interview and how well you click with them as a person. Or that's how I hired people anyway. It didn't matter to me in the slightest what their qualifications were. I was interested in their experience. I was interested in the passion that they had for the role. I was interested in them as people. No, me and Smoothman actually arrived at the school we were at the same time. I was sort of hired in above him and he was hired in below me, but we were hired at the same time. So we were actually on interview at the same day and we both started at the same time, which is a bit of a weird way to hire a what's the word I'm looking for? Not supervisor. What? I've been out teaching for so long. What's it called? A head of department. My word. It's a strange way to do that, but that's how it was done. But Smoothman did interview at my previous school that I was at, but I was not in a decision-making role at that school. I was the second in department there. So I remember him coming for an interview at my previous school, but I didn't interview him. But he didn't get that job. Why do I think computer science GCSE only has a 60% pass rate? Because there's not enough computer science teachers. So many teachers. There's a lot of people who could do ICT previously who think they can do computer science, or schools who think, we've got ICT teachers, they should be able to do computer science. That's not how it works at all. You need computer scientists to teach computer science. It's a really difficult subject. Is Sheep Anna's brother? No. I left sixth form 4 months in because I couldn't cope. Connor, was that you? Did I just see Connor saying that? Hello, Connor. How did I not notice you? How long have you been lurking for, Connor? Left sixth form 4 months in because I couldn't cope. Yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody. It's definitely not for everybody. You should always do what's right for you. People, again, I keep referring back to what's the worst that could happen? How long does it take to recover from? And that even, I mean, I had the same conversation with Lucy when she was deciding whether she wanted to do sixth form or go to college, because there's a lot of, certainly there's a lot of societal pressure that the smart kids do sixth form and the only kids who go to college are the ones who couldn't get into sixth form, and the course she wanted to do wasn't available at sixth form. So it was quite a lot of conversation around, who cares what people think about it? Who cares? It's just do what's best for you. You're in the guest queue as well. I wouldn't have the first idea how guests work, Connor. If I knew, I might have you on. Well, I am ending the stream in a minute anyway. But happy to have you along. I had to leave uni during my honours year due to health this year. Do you think this will affect my job opportunities in the long term? Only in so much as if you're trying to get a job where you need to have an honours degree, you obviously won't be able to do that. But in reality, how many jobs insist on that? Probably not very many. Do I have any sponsors? I have had sponsors from time to time. I don't have an active sponsor right now. You could argue the people who back me on Patreon are sponsors, I guess. What's the point once it's all already happened? Because what's the point of things happening if you don't learn from them? The whole reason we learn history in school is so that we can learn from the mistakes that were made, I would like to think. It's important to learn about Second World War, for example, and what caused it to happen, so that you're then, as an adult, able to recognise if society starts to fall down that same slippery slope. The whole idea is you don't repeat the same mistakes, and if you don't know what the mistakes were, how do you stop yourself repeating them? Have I considered private tutoring? I've considered it, but I don't really want to do it. Right, yeah, as Ben says, it's 9:20. You can see me rubbing my eyes. I'm so tired. So we are going to end the stream here. Good job I wasn't challenging myself to drink the water. I've had hardly any of it. But we are going to end the stream there. Thank you to everybody who's joined in, both on YouTube, over here on YouNow. It is massively appreciated. It's great to have you here to chat to, especially when I'm home alone or with Andy in bed and Anna's not here and I have no one to talk to. So you lot keep me sane, and it's always fun to chat. So we'll be back here on YouNow probably in a couple of days again. But until then, obviously, keep checking out the videos, etc., etc. And I will catch you all again soon. Toodle pip, folks.